this is the end for trucking. We can't find loads. Independent freight dispatchers going out of business. They can't find carriers. And obviously, brokerage companies out there, they're filing bankruptcies. They can't get shippers on board, and it's chaos right now. And everybody it talks about this. Obviously, there is a problem, and I'm not saying that you are the only one who hear this. Yes, there is a problem, and then obviously we'll be talking about this. I'll just take this. Let me see you guys here. Okay, you can see me. Okay, awesome. Prod by Jay says hello, and today obviously we'll be talking about this, and obviously I'll share my opinion and what's happening with my own business, and I'll be exposing some of the strategies and tactics for carriers out there, and obviously independent freight dispatchers who really wanted to find good paying loads. And be honest with you, I want to really give you the good news that yes, there is a way to make money in this market right now. For some reason, obviously there is a reason, but most people will say that it's a bad market. So something happening, I can't find loads. Brokers pay really cheap. I'm going out of business. And I watch a couple of YouTube videos, and then I see people really that I've been following. And it's like they're like going out of business. They're like, hey, literally, this is my last video. I'm not trucking anymore. I'm selling my truck. This is it. This is the end game. And we really want to talk about this. Let's see why marketing is going down. We will talk about this, and be honest with you, like I do have. If you stick to the end, and I'll do have a couple of strategies and tactics. If you're a carrier, if you are an independent freight dispatcher serving carriers, what I'll do share what I do basically in my business to stay in my business, serving, carriers. Well, one thing is that I want to share something really important. I was out of country for about 2 months, 65 days to be exact. And, when I came back, obviously I'm visiting my friends and families who are in the trucking industry, and obviously visiting them in their office. And it's like, let me pull this. Lena says, hi, Lena. And when I ask questions like, what do you do? How's your business? Obviously, and 99% of the time, they are complaining about the low freight and obviously low paying, loads out there. And it's like, this is end. That's what they would say. And I said, man, I think you really influenced by other people, like you are on social media and you watching a lot of YouTube videos, and you're not doing your homework, and you're just saying like, this is a bad market. Obviously, let me take this. It's Take Hop PK says hello. So Miracles World says hello to you guys. And what's happening is that I would just say, listen, and I know this guy that he owns about like 25 trucks, 26 to be exact, and he built his business using this, what we call the platform load boards. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's a load board. Think about Amazon. It's just for freight industry. So in Amazon, you search for products. In this platform, the load boards you're searching for, you guessed it, loads. You just like, hey, this is the origin. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to, let's say, Houston, Texas. That's the destination. You just, hit search, and then all the loads will pop up, and it will just call brokers. And by the way, those loads, let's say, most of them, or I would say 95% of those loads were posted by brokers. And you call brokers, and this is how we negotiate, and then you get loads. And let me take this. Mr. Juwilavi says hello to the world, guys. And I'm super pumped to discuss this. I do see a lot of carriers in freight brokers and independent freight dispatchers. They make a lot of money. Then on the other side of the spectrum, there are people obviously complain. One thing is that when somebody complains, who complains first? First of all, who complains? If I'm in pain, obviously I'm complaining. So I have a headache and I, complain. So those people and let me come back to this, the friend that I visited in office, and let's continue this. This is very important, and did a lot of things to learn, and be honest with you. And I asked him, and I said, listen, you built this multi-million dollar trucking company, and just like off of this, what we call load board, right? It's like you looking at this load board, and you're saying that whatever you see, you're saying this is what's happening in the United States, like meaning freight market. Like, is it, well, the first point is, do you think that spot market rate dictates this situation? Guys, be honest with you. Like, be honest and share your thoughts with me. You're looking at the load boards for those of you like carriers and brokers and obviously independent freight dispatchers. You're looking at the load board and whatever you see, and because of that, you just came up with the conclusion that market is bad. Like, on the other hand, brokers and their inbound carriers, and I think this is the word that we need to talk about this. There's like outbound carriers, and I always see they're like inbound carriers. This is one of the things that I learned from one of my friends. He owns a brokerage company. And inbound carriers, think about, they worked for, let's say, they built the relationship, and they share whatever the loads they have. And be honest with you, they have a lot of loads, and then they will share with inbound carriers. The inbound carriers, they think about, they are in their database, they know them well, and like, how they know them, like they know the CEO's names. Like, this is how close they get, the brokerage companies. And this is what they called as inbound carriers. And most of the loads that these brokers get from shippers, they're not posting on load boards, and they're just simply sharing with their inbound carriers. Think about, like, brokers watching right now, this is just, talk to me. And this is the game right now. That's the one problem. And because of this, you're just watching, or you're looking at the load board, and you're saying not enough loads. What if there's a leak, right? Those loads were not uploaded yet. So you just see a couple of, or maybe a couple hundred loads, and then obviously the leftovers, what we call. And because of that, you're saying market is bad. Well, I'm going somewhere with this. Just, you know, be with me. I'm just going somewhere. And obviously, yes, there is a problem. Well, it should be, right? And why I say it should be, guys, we just well, where we're at right now, as far as time goes, we're in the post pandemic. We we saw something, I don't know, to me it was like a nightmare, right? It's like world suffered from this pandemic, and it's like, this is post pandemic. We kind of, we passed this. It's like, now we woke up, and some people will say that, hey, we coming back to normal. I don't know what normals means to you, but I think there's something happening. It's a new thing, that a lot of things changing, a lot of markets, including the freight market, is disrupted. Well, supply chain is disrupted. And I'm, follow closely. I'm in the trucking industry, and at the same time, I do own import export business. And I know, like, maybe, well, think about this: containers from Europe, we get, we got, let's say, um in about like 30 days or 25 days or something like that. Now we're waiting to be, the container to be arrived about, like, in averaging like 50 days. Yes, there is something happening, but at the same time, coming back to this visiting office with my friend, and I will say, listen, if I take you right now to a retail, like big retail stores like Home Depot and Costco, think about Sam's Club, think about Walmart, right? If we can go there right now, and you see shelves are full of products, whatever you need, you can buy. So don't you think, like, these products that you see on shelves, somebody transported, right? So there's like a trucking involved, like there's dispatchers involved, the brokers involved, when obviously shippers involved, everybody involved, and you see we have everything in shelves. The market is not that bad. It's like, I had um one of my friends, he's in a box truck, and he will say, like, man, we don't have loads for our box truck. And then another friend of mine, he's in the box truck. He will say like, I can't keep up with the demand. I simply coming back to this, the problem that we have right now is just most of us were using load boards, and I think it's a great tool to use. And we're not just optimizing the load boards, and this is why we kind of suffering. And you'll be amazed if you have friends and families in the trucking industry. If you just go them in and ask them, you will see one thing as far as marketing goes. They don't even have a website. Like, talk to me, comment and share your thoughts with me. They don't even have a website. What they do, and I was there, I know, like, I owned 4 trucks. My company name was Prime Express LLC out of Atlanta, Georgia. I owned 4 trucks, and I was in the flatbed market. I use word was because I don't truck anymore. Like, I don't own the trucking company anymore. So they don't have a website. And then a lot of friends and families that I know, they don't have a website. And they're not doing any type of marketing to get a customer. And when I say customer, guys, think about how many people watching these YouTube videos and maybe other YouTube videos, and then they form an LLC. And by the way, quick disclaimer: don't file an LLC. And if you think that if you file just an LLC and you have a business, it's wrong. It's an illusion, guys. And by the way, I think you should hire somebody who knows how to file. It's just my personal opinion that who can help you find an LLC, right? So if you really want to have a company, but think about when let's say that you have an LLC, and let's say you have a website, you have the business name, and you have the logo, whatnot, everything, and then you think that you are in a business. No, it's an illusion. You have a hobby, yet you don't you don't have the hobby yet. The business, you can call a business when you have a customer. When you have a first customer, then you can say that you are in a business. But until then, you don't have a business. Like, when I created my, well, first I picked a name, Prime Express, and then I created a logo. Obviously, hired somebody, and then I paid thousands of dollars to create this website, and it's an awesome website. You can go check it out. It's primeexpressllc.com. And then I was like, I'm pumped. I'm in the business. Well, I don't have a customer yet. And how am I, calling this, it's a company? Well, think about trucking companies right now. They have 10, 20, I don't know, 50 trucks, and they don't have customers. Customers meaning if you are a carrier, like if you own a trucking company, if you hire drivers, if you don't have a shippers, it's, trust me, in my personal opinion, you are, well, if you think you are in business, but I think it's an illusion. It's like it's a hobby. Like, it's a great paying hobby. Yes, it pays millions. There, hobbies out there that pays millions. But why am I saying this? Well, because you don't have customers. You don't have customers, meaning you're not doing any type of marketing, and you don't get right in front of these suppliers, and then you think that you are in a business, but you rely on one thing. What is it? Load boards. You don't like think about, I did a video about 6 months ago. What happens if that theme of the video is what happens if load boards like will close tomorrow and then they don't exist? It's just like gone, and you have millions of dollars in debt, finance your trucks and trailers. What are you gonna do? It's end of the world, right? So think about if you don't have load boards, and obviously what's happening, you have customers that's supplying with loads. And because of this, what am I trying to say is marketing is really hard for people, meaning carriers. And if you're an independent freight dispatchers, if you can't get carriers, and I think the number one reason, to be honest with you, it's not you, it's not your business, but because you, you don't know how to do marketing. I was there, and I know marketing is tough. First of all, you need to know the strategies and tactics and come up with a good plan. And for the execution, obviously, you need money to execute, right? So then most of the carriers out there, what they do, they just like sign up for a load board. I think it's easy. Sign up for a load boards, and think about, I'm not gonna do any marketing. If I just sign up, pay a couple $100, use this load board. Well, man, Brokers, they do marketing for me. They get customers for me, and I'm not gonna do anything. I just go and book some loads. And this is the game most of us play or played, right? Independent freight dispatchers, carriers out there, and it's to me it makes sense. Kind of okay. It's like if I want to buy a truck and trailer, and I just sign up for a load board. That's it. That's it. It will obviously I get MC and an insurance, and then you get up and running. Then it's just simply log in, and then whatever brokers feed me, and then I will just take that, and that's it. Boom! I have a business. I'm in the business. Then why, when well, I think brokers, they are the biggest players in the supply chain. They are disruptors, I think. And again, this is my personal opinion. Maybe you agree or disagree. Please share with me your thoughts, and then let's talk. These people obviously disrupting the market. They're doing all sorts of things. Obviously, the majority of carriers, they think even they're the villains of the story, right? And I'm like, well, they are in business. They're really good at marketing. Why don't you do your own marketing and don't complain? It's simple as that. There's a carrier, there is a shipper. Just go there, say, hey, I have, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 trucks, and you move, I don't know, lumber, plywood, X, Y, and Z. Let's work. Because you're not doing this, you're not going like out of office, and you're just sitting and looking at like what those friends, they're looking at the spot market rate, and they're complaining. They say, well, market is crashed. Let's come back and think about this. Yes, there is a price increase, and by the way, there's a slight decrease in as far as price for the fuel goes. I'll share something really important with you. The website you can check. I'm always on it. So this is the website. Okay. So and then you can go and see, check the price. I'm not gonna go into this, but I'll just keep obviously talking about the problems that we have. And what's happening? Great conversation. Absolutely. And again, guys, if you have questions, please ask. And I'm glad you said a conversation, because I really want these live streams to be kind of, I'm not prepared for this. It's whatever I have, my experience, my own research. And it's casual. Let's talk. If we have a problem, let's fix it together, right? So yes, obviously I do have strategies to share with you guys. Now, coming back to the brokers, disruptors, what's happening is, like, if you are a independent freight dispatcher, if you're a broker, obviously this. The carriers, talk to me. A lot of brokers nowadays, in past 5 years, this is what I see. It's a trend. A lot of brokerage companies, they develop their own platforms, their own load boards. CH Robbins, think about TQL. Think about all the major brokerage companies out there. They own their own load boards. Why is that? It's control, right? It's have the grip of their business. They are the controllers. They are the disruptors. Think about, and you're still thinking about, like, watch, like looking at the load board, and then it's like less loads, and then if there's some loads and it pays really really low, and you still building a business, meaning you, like, people out there, I'm not picking on you, but just saying it's crazy. Just people will buy trucks, and then just sign up for a load board, and then that's it. They're in the business, and then obviously the leftovers is there. And it's a huge chaos. Think about we don't have, let's say we don't have, let me see. What was the question again? What the website I'm watching on the phone is just too small and I can't see it. Yeah. So let me go back. I think this is, let me pull this real quick, and then we'll continue. This is the, let me pull back. It's the U.S. Energy Information Administration. So, and specifically to get this to this page, that is the EIA.gov/petroleum, and it's a slash gas diesel, and then you just hit enter, and then it will just bring to this page, and you can just watch. Well, there's a slight decrease on a diesel. Eh, Maybe for some people, it's a good information, but I don't know. You just check it. It's free. So think about, and one of my friends told me is that he's ordering trailers. And I'm like, man, this guy complains about the freight. He can't find loads for his trucking company, but you order trailers. So how many do you order? So he said about six. Okay, so you ordered about six, and you ordered about like four something, trucks, and he's been waiting for about 6 months. Think about, they are major, the manufacturers who build trailers and trucks. Think about, they're not taking orders anymore. They just like they fold, they backed up. It's like fully loaded. They're not accepting any orders. Think about, if we are in the bad market, if the trucking industry and we are failing, it's crushing. It's end of the world, right? So we don't have anything on shelves. So if we go to buy something, from Walmart and the Home Depot, we don't have anything on shelves. This is the end of the game, right? Well, you don't see that. And you see that some people thrive and some people just survive. That's, I think, in all business, well, in every business, I think it's true. I run a company, it's a digital marketing company, and it's the same thing. A lot of people go into this space, and then a lot of people will go out of this, space. Think about it. It's a business, guys. Everything boils down to, I think, it's a marketing and sales. If you're missing those things, and obviously that's a huge problem. And if you are looking at the spot market rate, and let's talk about the spot market rate, this thing is this phenomenon, what we call it, the spot market rate. It's on the spot. The price can change within seconds, right? That's the name comes from. It's a spot market rate. So what you need, maybe, well, I'm talking to Katie specifically, contracted rate. Go out and talk to shippers, and obviously you need to find a niche. I think these are the strategies that I want to share with you. One thing I really learned this hard way when I was starting, and one of my mentors told me this, and it's just like, it's here, and I want to share with you. Know one thing: if you're going into the trucking, know one thing is that trucking is ever evolving. This changed the perspective that I was looking at something, and it's just like perspective changed like 365. It's like, or 360, or it's changed completely. Now think about, it's trucking, it's ever evolving, it always change. Another thing, um, there is a question. I think you guys have great questions. Say it says, what do you think about box truck niche? Awesome. I think a lot of good things about, it seems a lot of you guys asked this question about the box truck market, how I can go into the box truck. And I'm not going off of the topic, but since you asked, a lot of my students, they are into like serving box truck owners, and obviously they're struggling. And then we do some research, and then ask friends and families who are in the box truck, and then we'll ask them how they do business. And obviously I'll share the strategies and tactics. I'll share it in a minute with you. I did a video on this. It's on my channel. You can check about the box trucks, and in the hot shot, there's a video you can watch. So let me well, I do see you guys have a lot of questions. What at the end of the live, session, I have the 10 to 15 minutes to take questions. Obviously, it's like going, to checking the comments and coming back. It's just very. I'm not gonna slow down, because it's a lot of things to share with you. So we were talking about the strategies, obviously. So if you're a trucking company, the first of all, and again, this was me, and I was like, I'm not going anywhere because I don't have customers. And I don't think I realized this, and then I learned this hard way, that the marketing and sales is everything. When you're starting out, if you're a trucking company, if you're a brokerage company, if maybe you're an independent freight dispatcher, you do everything. You run your business. You wear different hats. You are the CEO. You are the VA. You do the sales. You do the marketing, and marketing by itself, it's totally a different world. So what we said is, trucking is ever evolving. It changes a lot. I'll share some strategies as to how I survive, since I promised that I will be sharing some of the tactics that I will be sharing with you. And be honest with you, this is what I share with my students as well. I have a quick video, and most of you independent freight dispatchers, you already guessed it. There is a tool inside the load boards, and obviously not many people using or optimizing their load boards. Simply what they do is just log in and put the origin and destination and then search for loads, and maybe they put the trucks, what type of trucks they're looking at or loads they're looking. And be honest with you, that's it. Majority, most of the people, at least what I see, people just doing that, and they're not optimizing it. There are a lot of tools inside this tool, what we call load boards. And think about, and as far as, by the way, guys, I have next Tuesday someone from a DAT, and I have a product manager that I talk all the time how we can improve, as far as searching loads, how I can help people in the transportation industry, how they can leverage this tool called the load board. And I have a live stream next week, and I do have, if I can share with you the email, that next week there will be a product demonstration. That means we'll be asking a lot of questions. There will be a person from the DAT, right? From the DAT will be live training like this, and I'll be simply asking questions how we can optimize our searches, how we can pull those high-paying loads. What are the strategies? What are the tactics? So if you don't believe me, I'll share my screen with you. This is the email that I got from a person that I work with directly. So I got today, and it says that our product demonstrator cleared his schedule for the next week evening. So do you have the link to join the live stream? You guys, think about it. So we will have this live stream next Tuesday, and subscribe. Don't miss this live stream with the product demonstrator, and that is the guy who knows the ins and outs of the load board, right? So he will help us how to optimize and what are the tools inside the load board so we can use it and pull those high-paying loads. One of the tools that we use, and again, this is my business. We can copy it, we can learn, use it or lose it. That's what I can say. What I do, I'm all about tri-haul. For most people, if you say tri-haul, it's not working, DAT doesn't provide this perfect data. Nobody provides perfect data, and there's like, you need to own your own data, be honest with you. And well, at least it's a starting point. But then think about, I use a tool called tri-haul, and simply, I'm not saying that I just log into, although I do, but for some researching purposes, I build my own tri-haul. Tri-haul is basically, in simple words, and again, there's a video on this channel that talks about this principle. Guys, think about, not many people using this principle or tool, and I will just say, well, I heard about this tri-haul principle. Well, who cares? I don't like that. But this multi-billion-dollar company called DAT Solutions worked and built this tool for you guys so that you can leverage. And if it's not important, if it's like it doesn't make any sense, then why these people building these tools for us? And it's inside the load boards. You are already using it, but that tool is inside the DAT load board. And for those of you who doesn't have a load board subscription, there will be a link below this video, the 30-day free trial you can try. But I share this with my own students, and there's a quick video I'll share with you, and then you'll just watch this video that I shared exactly the same thing with my students. Well, obviously we go in depth, what are the lanes and how I built, but simply watch this quick video. And again, how are you going to solve problems being in the spot market rate? Tri-haul principle is the number one game. What I realized, maybe there's no sound, but, and again, if you guys email me and then info@dispatchtrucks.com, I can email this video. And I just realized that there's no sound. Let me pull this once again. If you can hear this video, please let me know. And if not, then obviously, and again, like, how are you going to solve problems being in the spot market rate? Tri-haul. Do you hear the video? That's what I'm talking about. Let's see if I okay themselves. Okay, so we'll come back to this video, but what I was trying to do is like, hey, I share this principle inside the training. Oh, so you guys can hear what was the video about? Okay, so let me share with you guys. Just confirm that the video plays and you can. Yes, there you go. Awesome. So let me go back and then share it with you. And guys, again, like how you going to solve problems being in the spot market rate? Try hall principle is the number one game. Try hall is the number one game. I don't know if you have a better method. So if you have, I can definitely debate with you, but your job should be like using these load boards and just like finding these like sweet spots. And I told you, right? I shared with you guys the Atlanta to Houston, Houston to Dallas, Dallas back to Houston, and doing like 2 to 3 trips, right? So this 250-mile radius. I mean, 250-mile from Houston to Dallas. You're doing this, you're bumping the rate per mile. But on top of that, the number one tool that they're using is their ability of coming up these tri-halls, like these 3 dots that they need to connect. There you have it, right? So the reason why I shared this video is because whatever I teach here, be honest with you, like I teach exact same thing inside the training, and tri-hall is the way to go when it comes to like I have low paying freight. And again, if you have all the questions related to tri-hall, related to how to use load boards, next week, mark the date, next Tuesday, I will have somebody from the DAT, and then we'll have live, and then maybe it will be an hour or 2 hours live stream, and then we'll go inside the load board, and we'll do our best to show you ins and outs of the load board, how you can use and optimize the load board. So I have a poll, and let's take some questions. Paul says, I ask about 8 shippers today if I can earn their business. And I'm assuming maybe you're a carrier, maybe you're a broker. They showed me the door. Okay, so told me that leave immediately, told me to walk home, buddy. Well, listen, there are a lot of people, obviously, and we don't know what was the approach, how you did approach them, and we don't know that, right? Did you like, I don't know, how did you schedule a call with them? Like, how did you schedule like, I don't know, like your visit? Or do you just like go? It's like a door to door, and then you just knock the doors and said, "Hey, here I am. My name is Paul, and I'm a carrier or broker, and I want to do business with you." Maybe you did that. Maybe I don't know. What was your like? Walk us through this, strategies that you gone through. Like how you do how. Like I really want to. I really want to see how you approached these, shippers. Well, to me, be honest with you, like no offense, but to me, like if you approach 8 shippers in a row and then they show you the door, something is wrong. Something is wrong with the approach, with the strategy, obviously, right? So if we all believe that whatever you did, it's not working, and this is it. Nobody wants to work, with the carriers and obviously with brokers, then how the other people they're doing business, and how the other people in the business they're working with direct shippers, and like how that possible? We need to talk about this, right? So something didn't happen. Okay, so when you approach them, we don't know how you approach them, but then if you approach them and then you realize that it's not working, like have you just sit down and then just go over this and like why it's not working? Have you thought about this? Like why it's not working? Maybe you had just one single truck, and then you're approaching a multi-billion-dollar shippers, and they're like they have 20-30 loads per day, and it's just like one man show. You approach them and said, hey, I want to work with you, and obviously it doesn't work that way, right? There's a specific strategies to approach them. But while I congratulate you that you at least took some actions, it was a door to door, you talk to real people, I congratulate you. That's an awesome move. But for most people, this it's like it's discouraging. It's like, man, it's not working. But to me, it's like, well, awesome, you took some actions, but then how? What was the the script that you used? If you called them, right? If you just approach them, it's like door to door, just knock their doors, and then, hey, here I am, and I want to talk about business, and this is how I can improve your business or I can move your products. We don't know that, right? So we just need to go about we need to know the specific actions that you took. So this is the result that you got. But what are the steps? So I think Paul, and again, I congratulate you, man, like taking actions. Let's say let's take some of your um there you go. Let's talk. And again, Paul says I'm optimizing my load board, but still have no freight to move. Okay, then how are you optimizing it? What you're doing? So, well, I in the training that I had, Paul, and I was specifically talking to you. So you're optimizing it, and I don't know how you're optimizing it. Again, what you're doing to optimize, share those strategies with us, right? So, and like I'm talking to my students, and obviously I'm sharing this principle, the tri-hall, and how am I finding those loads for my carriers. And I talked about something like, hey, listen, there is a oversupplied states or lanes, think about it that way, and then there's a undersupplied lanes, and then there are balanced lanes, like which one you are pulling. So obviously it's like combination. If you think that, hey, we need um you know the the well established market, I would say, right? Well supplied. And if you think that you want to go there, then obviously it you might be right. But again, coming out of it, it will be like from taking loads from out of this lane, it will be hard for you. So it's all about the combination. It's all about like you need to find a region or the lane that is like little bit of a well supplied, meaning loads, that a lot of loads going into this lane, and then obviously undersupplied, and then obviously this brings to this balance. It's a little bit of everything, and that is the sweet spot. And if you can do this using the map, using the tool like a DAT power, and if you can use that, and if you can optimize this way, loads are there, right? And another thing is, if you are in the drive-in market and if you see that, mm, let's say June, July is kind of low for, let's say, reefer market, then what you need to do is, obviously, if you're an independent freight dispatchers, right? So I'm kind of changing the perspective. If you're an independent freight dispatcher, then obviously you're changing the gears. You see that you don't have loads for drive-in, so then obviously you'll be searching loads for, let's say, um, the flatbed market, for example, right? And if you know your lanes and your these tri-hall, using the tri-hall principles, and if you know the cities and the regions, then loads always there, right? It's easy for if you are carrier and if you are in the flatbed market, the lanes that I had, be honest with you, and I can share with you, and I shared with my students, is that if you're taking loads from Atlanta, you're moving from Atlanta, and most of the people what they will do is that they'll be looking loads from Atlanta, Georgia. But if you are an independent freight dispatcher and if you are a carrier, you need to look loads. And specifically, I'm saying using the load boards. If you don't have customers yet, then obviously you'll be using load boards. What will happen is that you will put about like 250-mile radius, and it basically catches the southeast area, and then a lot of loads will pop up. Did you know? Did you know this? When you have this is, I don't know. This is, I think it's a phenomenon. When you're using load boards, do this, and you will see. You'll be amazed by this. Be honest with you. I don't know if you did know this. Maybe you didn't know this. When you put 150-mile radius, and then it will click search whatever the regions you are in and whatever searches you are doing. And think about, if it's in Atlanta, Georgia, and if I put 100-mile radius and then I'll hit search, and then there are like 50 loads will pop up. So then if I put, it's like under 100 miles, that's what I'm saying. Just be with me. This is crazy. And then you put, like, you change and you put 150-mile radius, and you'll hit search, and you'll realize that about 80 to 90 loads will pop up. It's under 100 miles. The only thing changed is this, like, digits. I just put 150 instead of 100, and it's still under 100 miles. And you will see we'll get a lot of loads. See, like not many loads you see. When you log into load boards, trust me, not many loads you see. So like test this. Put Atlanta, Georgia. Let's say I'm giving you an example. Put Atlanta, Georgia, and then destination, put Los Angeles, California, or Houston, Texas. And put each, like for the origin, put 100 miles. And then for the destination, put 100 miles. And then hit search. What you will see. You will see that like loads, right? Loads picks up from Atlanta and then it goes to Houston, Texas. They're about like 50 loads. Then do exact same thing, but just like change the radius and put 150-mile radius. And just hit search and you will see like those are the 50 lows that popped up. They were below 100-mile radius. And you just put 150-mile and then you just hit it and you will see it's like 80 loads, about 20, 30, loads more, and it's like it's still below 100. It's crazy to just think about, and there are a lot of things to learn, just using these load boards. So, like I hope you guys getting value out of this. Let me see what we can do. Ali says, isn't better to just find dedicated lanes at this time for the market? Well, if this is a strategy that you're thinking and you say, hey, I really wanted to find dedicated lanes, well, that's the point. You can do that. You're not just sitting and looking at the load board and the spot market rate. That's what I'm trying to say is that, well, there's not enough loads. Think about that, hundreds of thousands of loads are being dispatched from brokers. They're not even posting the loads to these load boards, right? Think about why is that? Well, they're using this tool, but 80% of the time they're using their own tools. The majority of the brokers like go and think about like major brokerage company, just go there and look at it. You will see that there is a load board that they offer. And that is one of the selling proposition that they have right now for carriers and for the shippers. Hey, we have our own inbound carriers. Hey, shipper, work with us. And this is now, it becomes like almost impossible to compete because they spend millions of billions of dollars on marketing and building these, tools. And obviously for us, it's starting with load boards. And if you have this tool, you need to optimize, you need to know ins and outs of this load. So let me see. Prod says, Paul, how can you not have any load to move? How is that possible? Well, I'm thinking the same thing. Even in this bet market, there are plenty of high paying loads. I 100% agree. Yes. You just need to dig in. Absolutely. I 100% agree. So Omar said, what's happening with the market? Excuse me, market rate and idea. How long will this market crash go? And again, when we say market crash, we're not talking about think about like we're talking about US trucking market. Transportation industry here it's $800 billion industry. Like it's mind-blowing. And we're saying it's a market crash, but we talked about this. If you missed, Omar, please go back, and when we post this, you can go back, watch this. But just looking at the load boards, you're thinking that it's market crash. It's not. There's a slowdown, and again in the markets. By the way, I'll share this. I think this is very important to share. Is that sometimes market get in 3 stages, right? And we touched a little bit, but one stage it could be tight. I think this is a tight market right now. And then it will go to, and then this is the market cycle. Think about cycles, and then it will loosen, and this is a loose market, and then it's a balanced market, right? It's just always cycling. Now is a tight market, and you like trying to survive. But think about it's you're looking at the load boards, and it's even worse because they're not enough loads or being posted to this load board, and it's just like chaos. And then you are a carrier and you're an independent freight dispatcher searching for a load. There are some loads out there, and then you look at it like, man, I don't want to move this. And another thing that was happening, and it's very funny, but I said, well, adjust your eyes and your mind to the new price points. It's like price is increasing. We're in totally in a different world, guys. We're paying premium prices right now for everything. Prices are increased. So if you think that going back and if you want to see, I don't know, you're buying a truck, used truck for about 20, 30 grand, that's it. It's gone. You can't find a used truck for about 20, 30, 50 grand. It's gone, right? So we just need to adjust ourselves that, the prices are changing. And obviously, what are my, thoughts that this will change very soon if you are prepared for this. And then obviously you will make a lot of money with this. But if you prepared, right? So if you're ready for this. Okay. Let's go here and then let's see. Kamal, what your advice on this market today? I think I just gave it to you. To someone who wants a business on this industry. Apparently, it looks like the big fish control all aspects on that industry. So, well, yes, I think it's a great point. You are saying that apparently it looks like the big fish controls. It's yeah. Well, they're established businesses. They dictate. They have the control over X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to mention, but I was about to say something, but I'm not going into politics. But they have the influence. So yes, they will control a lot of things. But think about if we are thinking like this, like if you want to become a let's say a carrier. That's another thing we can talk. And if you want to become a broker, that's another thing. And if you want to become an independent freight dispatcher, obviously there's some people out there, by the way, that a lot of people will just say bad things about independent freight dispatching, and most of the time you will see that brokers will say that. Why? Because they don't need competition, right? So they need to keep the things low below them. And it's like, well, think about brokers. They don't own assets. They're non well, there's some asset-based brokers as well, but not asset-based. There are a lot of them. 90%, I think, in my personal opinion, but 90% of freight brokers out there, they're not asset-based, meaning they don't own trucks and trailers. They don't own equipment, right? So and obviously independent freight dispatchers, they don't own the equipment, and they work directly with carriers to fight back and then get the best paying loads out of these brokers so that carriers get paid, and at the same time obviously independent freight dispatchers get paid. Well, my advice, obviously I'm not saying that you need to go into the business. Like, you need to make your own decisions, and these educational videos can help you definitely. But as far as going into the business, make your own decision. But I think, to me, it's like my personal opinion, low entry is going into the trucking industry is owning the independent freight dispatching business. And owning an independent freight dispatching business, and obviously you can work with the carriers, and you can also help this carrier to get building the dedicated lanes and shippers, whatnot. Let's see. Let me see. Let's have Paul. Paul, let's let's talk about this. So the day the war happened in Ukraine, okay, the next day a load from Illinois to Ohio is 100, 1,000, 1,100. Before war in Ukraine, the load paying was about 2,000. Well, think about. Well, first of all, we don't want war. It's like we don't need that, right? And obviously the biggest war we had, and this is what I shared with my students, is that the pandemic that happened. I think that was the biggest challenge to the world, to the entire world, right? And a lot of wars happening. I'm not going to mention the countries out there that's been the war has been happening years and years, for decades. I'm not even talking about that. But guys, obviously we don't want this. But if something happens like this, obviously, it's there's effect, right? And a cause and effect in it's yes, I totally agree with this. But load and how this thing can influence a load from Illinois to Ohio. I don't know, like, just change the lane, like from Ohio to search for Atlanta, or from Atlanta to Houston. Like, I don't know, to be honest with you, like, I don't have the words to say, but you have the load boards. You have a lot of loads out there. Just you can switch the lanes if you wanted to. So, let me see. Do we have anything? Okay, so Paul, again, you are very active. Kamal, you're doing great. Thank you. By the way, my friend. Okay, sure, absolutely. Well, you know what, Paul, and it's I respect whatever you have to say. It's your own opinion. Obviously, you think. See that I'm sharing my own opinion. Like, no offense, I think it's great that you're doing something, and for us, like I think we're a family. We are in the same industry. We're trying to do something. Obviously, what works for you, good luck and more power to you. What it's, we're talking about what's not working and how we can improve, right? So, say it says, how can be say from double brokerage? Pay attention to rate confirmations. It's huge. Please pay attention to those. Let me come back and see if there's a Lou says, do you own a digital marketing company? Yes, I do. Let me see if we have more questions. Okay, so let's see. Yes, you can watch this live after it's over. Yes, when we end the live, it will be posted. It will be there for you to learn. Let me see. If you guys have questions, please let me know, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I was looking for you, say it, and you said that what you think about the box truck niche. So I'm glad you mentioned or you said it, that it's a niche. Niche is a very specific market. Box truck, obviously there are a lot of loads you can find using the load boards, but your market is different, and load boards are not designed specifically for your market or for your niche. It's very specific niche. So box truck, in my personal opinion, and this is based on my experience and a lot of friends and families in this business, and obviously a lot of students serving box truck owners, your niche is a furniture market, right? So you will be hauling furnitures. That is, I think it's 90%. You will be like, think about Ashley. And I did a lot of videos on YouTube, shared some tips and tactics and strategies. Approach them if you are a box truck owner. A lot of people get loads from them. We bought appliance from Home Depot. Guess what? The box truck owner, the guy with his friend, delivered the appliance. And if you just ask them, if you buy an appliance, think about it. Like, you just do research, and you see if I buy appliance, think about 99% of the time, box truck owners will deliver the appliance that you bought. Right? It's what they're doing. Is just basically, guys, this is the life of a carrier, right? So he sits on this front of these like two monitors all day long, like not living his, what I'm saying, out of his office and go and talk to people. They're not doing most of them. They're not doing this. They just rely on this load board and whatever the load board is offers. And if it's a good thing, that it's always, they will say something like, life is good. But then if something happens, it'll low freight, low paying, lows, obviously market crashed, right? So hope this helps. Let me see if we have more questions. And so let's see if we have. Okay, so let me take this question. I think this is very important. Best tip for getting carriers. Best tip. I had a video. I think that was I think the number one problem, finding the carriers. Please watch that video. It was posted last week on Tuesday. Did a lot of people liked it, and did a lot of comments. You can check as well. The best tip is to build your own system, your marketing system. What it does is basically you're not doing the cold calling, you're not going after them. It's basically you're creating a ecosystem. Think about this way: you're creating an ecosystem. And be honest with you, I shared everything you need in that video. I'm just not gonna go there because we're already talking, nonstop for about 54 minutes now. So if you can watch that video, a lot of things get clear. Is basically creating your own ecosystem and inviting carriers to your ecosystem, and then obviously at the end you schedule a call with them, on a Zoom call when they what is it, they schedule a call, and then you talking to a carrier live, right, on Zoom call, and dissecting his business or her business, and then offering your services, how you can help. That is that. Let me see. Okay, so say it says, so is there a separate load board where we can search for box truck loads? Yes, there is the load board for um, specifically for box truck, and I think it's expensive. I'm not going to mention the name. It's very expensive. In most people, and I had about 4 or 5 friends of mine who used their, like, actually driving the box truck, and at the same time they're searching loads for themselves. What they found is like, man, if I can just go and knock the doors, talking to just like Ashley, Home Depot, and saying, hey, I do own this equipment, and then I can haul. And obviously there's some strategies that they're using, but I think the load board name is Selectus. I never used it. I don't recommend. I'm not affiliated with them, but you can check them out. But again, what you're doing is that when you're starting out, you can use the load board, specifically load board, power load board and DAT power, and then you can use that load board, so get off the ground. And then obviously you need different strategies to get carriers on board. I mean, the shippers on board. Let's see. I reached out to someone via cold calling and text, and one person replied and it said I was gentle. Okay, and it said they had their authority since 1998. Okay, so, well, I don't know your name, but it says Miracles World. But think about one, if one thing it's not happening, always you have strategies you're testing against another strategy. So you're doing something, and then if it's not working, you're just asking questions. Why not? So if I use this cold calling, and assuming you are using a script, maybe, I don't know. If not, I highly recommend using a script, because there is, when I said script, it's, I don't want you to sound like a robot. It's just like word by word. But I think you need what I'm trying to say is the flow, or you can think about a workflow. But what I'm trying to say, the word I'm searching, is the framework. There's a specific framework when you call people, right? So think about just this video itself. When we were starting these videos, and obviously there is a framework how to start a YouTube video. It's just like getting attention from people. Otherwise, nobody will listen to you. It's same thing, guys. It's like, think about, this is the way that I'm contacting with you and trying to deliver the message to you so that you can listen and then obviously learn from it. And it's same thing with the shippers. There is a specific framework, right? And I shared inside the training, and then I'll do another live stream, and I share specific strategies how you can approach shippers. If you are an independent freight dispatcher, don't do that unless you have a customer. Why? Because it's not legal. Independent freight dispatchers approaching shippers, at least in the United States, it's illegal. You must represent a carrier to do that. So we want to really want to talk to about this. It's like, how, like, what was the approach? What was the framework? If you're not using script, if you're not using framework, it's easy for you to just get excited and talk about things that they don't want to listen. It's like they will realize that you're trying to sell something or your service or something like that. It's just basically, it's a sales call, right? And then they will just end the call, and then it will reject or something like that. And you don't need that, those feelings. It's hard, I know, but framework is everything. Okay, hope that helps. Let me see. Does she legally own property? The word cannot be bought through. Okay, so hope this helps, guys. If and again, I'm really open to ideas, and a lot of people emailed me in on the comments, and I see people saying, Kamal, why don't you talk about, you were a carrier, why don't you talk about trucking company, how we can buy a truck, how we can get an insurance for the trucks, what are the insurance companies that you recommend, or something like that. Well, guys, I built the company, and then obviously I just closed the company because of the recession and because of the COVID or pandemic. And yes, I was a carrier, and I know like ins and outs of this industry. If you need help, and definitely you just ask, you say, Kamal, can you make a video about how to buy or how to do X, Y, and Z in trucking, right? So the only thing I can't teach, and I can't share things about brokerage. I'm not into brokerage. And to be honest with you, there are many reasons. I think hundreds of reasons out there. Like, you don't need the brokerage company. But again, if you ask specific questions, I will do specific videos, guys, for you. So let's meet on Tuesday, and we will go from there. Thank you for all of your questions.